In December 2011, my mom filed for divorce from my stepdad. We were all unaware of the difficult times ahead regarding the custody of my youngest sister. The Children's Equal and Shared Parenting Act was recently passed in April of 2012 and was entered into legislation. The act requires in almost all divorce cases with minor children for custody battles that each parent is rewarded at the minimum 45.1% of custody. The act overrules the interests of the child and in some cases disregards cases of abuse and neglect. The Children's Equal and Shared Parenting Act is harmful to the children involved and does not take the child's best interests close enough into consideration. The 3 points I will be touching base on is the child is caused harm by being forced into uncomfortable situations, parents with history of domestic violence should not be awarded custody, and mental and physical disability and addiction scans should be mandatory in any case that this act is put into place. Now, the first fact I will be touching base on is that the child is caused harm by being forced into uncomfortable situations. In the best interest of the child, it states that the child should be able to be in intimate situations with each parent individually and that they should be comfortable enough in their home, their school, and their community. Michael Dittberner from Minnesota House of Representatives found that with this bill, the parent who wants 50-50 custody is given a higher priority than the best interest of the child. Now, in that case, if the child is not comfortable with that parent, they are given a higher priority, the parent is given a higher priority than having that child with them for at least 50% of their time, if not higher than that, even though the child is not comfortable. And in this case, levels of anxiety and stress can arise, causing harm to the child. Now, parents with history of domestic violence should not be awarded custody. Patrick Thornton from Minnesota Lawyers Association found that children exposed to domestic violence exhibit internalizing and externalizing behaviors and cognitive and academic deficiencies, which in this fact states that they have uprising problems with suicide, depression, anxiety, fears, phobias, bedwetting, anything along that line. They also fall into problems in their academics and schooling, not only academically, but socially along the lines with all the children in the schools too. With the case of domestic violence and all of these harmful situations arising, the child doesn't even need to see visually the domestic violence that's happening, but having the presence of that parent causing the domestic violence is enough for the child to fall victim to things such as depression and suicide. Now, in this case, the best interest of the child is not supported because they're being placed with a parent who gives them depression and gives them anxiety. Now, the third point I would like to touch base on is the fact that disability and addiction scans should be required in order for this act to be put into place. In some cases, the child is placed with a parent who is not even capable of taking care of themselves in a way that is sustainable for human beings. It was found that I totally blanked. Patrick Thornton from 2012 session, despite the Children's Act, a parent with history of disability or addictions can be awarded 50-50 custody, which means the child is being placed with a parent who is not capable of taking care of themselves and taking care of a child. So in that case, how is that the best interest of the child? If they are being placed with a parent who cannot take care of them, that is not in any way possible that the child cannot be harmed from that situation. Now, to touch base on these situations, I have found that the child forced into an uncomfortable situation causes nothing but stress and anxiety. A child that is witness to domestic violence has problems with depression and suicide that can be present their whole entire life. And children placed with a parent with a disability, such as a physical or mental disability or an addiction, can be placed in a situation where they're not cared for properly and causes more harm than is necessary. Now, my family fell victim to this act earlier this year. My youngest sister was placed into an uncomfortable situation with her father where she was not able to effectively take care of herself or have her father take care of herself in any manner either. She has now recently been put into counseling to deal with the anger and hatred that she feels. She went from a happy, smiling little girl to someone who is constantly filled with worry and hatred and doesn't even want to know where she's going or what she's doing. The Children's Equal and Shared Parenting Act should be removed from legislation and let the best interests of the child determine where the child is best placed. Now, the Family Law section of the Minnesota State Bar Association already testified against this law back in April when it was put into legislation, and they are willing to fight and are planning on fighting against this bill once again when it comes to this November when everyone is voting.